Good morning, everyone. We haven't forgotten you. We're going to be kicking it off here shortly, so just hang tight. And when we do kick it off, please feel free. Turn on those cameras. We love to see your faces, so it's like you're here with us in the meeting. That means you, Haley, Gary, Monique. See you soon.
The cows come home, but this afternoon, in case you're one of those people, maybe you're online, we have 2 to 4 p.m. at the Placer County Board of Realtors. It's jam-packed, sold out. We shut registration down. But you're in this room, you can go. You're on my VIP list. Just say, Brent said I'm on his VIP list. Come. Kyle's going to rock it from 2 to 4, 6 strategies on how to get more listings in this market. Tips. Come, learn, grow, apply, and then 6 strategies to get your offers accepted. Because those are the 2 things. How many think having more listings is a good thing right now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How many think getting your offers accepted is a good thing? How many think writing your offer and getting rejected again is a bad thing, right? I mean, isn't it? So it's just going to be an amazing afternoon. Super excited. So get on the phone, bring a friend, and let them know we're not talking about EXP. We're not going to talk about anything other than getting listings and getting your offers accepted. And there's going to be music. P-Car is going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of space. It's going to be packed. And people are going, here's what's going to happen. They go, wow, EXP is cool. EXP is happening. Kyle Whistle's with EXP, #1 agent in San Diego. And then they're going to go, okay, tell me about EXP. So I love these training events we do because A, are they good stuff for you guys?
Yeah.
And then B, it's a soft recruiting event. You just bring some friends. I would say, come, go back to Lions Real Estate and prosper. Like you're not going to try and make it negative, not at all. Come, go back to Coldwell Banker and mean it. But they will say when they're there, because it's always the people that sponsor the people. It's not me. When I was a team leader for Keller Williams 10 years ago, I would have coffees at Starbucks on Secret Ravine with people all the time. I go to Pete's at the fountains all the time, and nobody was joining Keller Williams. But when I started bringing the agents, and I would bring 10, 20, 30 to business planning events, goal setting events, how to get listings, blah, blah, blah. I ended up recruiting 170 in 1 year.
Wow.
The people sponsor the people. That's the magic of this room. It's not me up here and online. It's you guys asking questions. So what we're gonna do today, hey guys, come on in. What we're gonna do today is no way. So Jared, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some masterminding today, I thought. We have some speakers lined up for you, and especially our managing broker for the state of California, Angela Coffer. Hey Angela, how are you today? It's like, I just want to come hang out. Don't point me out or don't do anything. But I have to. You're amazing. You've actually been, how long have you been with EXP now?
3 years.
3 years, and she's helped me out a bunch of different times, so we're excited to have you here. I do want you to say something before it's over today.
Okay.
A couple minutes, maybe the #1 tip that you've seen to help avoid mistakes, pitfalls that agents make.
I've got one.
All right. So we're gonna. Do you want to lay it on us now or save it till later?
Up to you.
Let's save it. We have some drama, some anticipation. All right. So what we're gonna do first today is this. I'm gonna write down some topics you want to hear about this morning in our team meeting. So it could be disclosures, it could be loans, it could be listing presentations, it could be getting your offer accepted, it could be an appraisal issue, it could be roof issue, pest, request for repairs. It could be, how do I get people out looking at real estate? How do I get sellers to call me? I want to hear from you guys. And you got to be like totally involved. Are we good?
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'm going to put on the board here. I want some topics of things we're going to cover. So we're going to go through them very quickly. So I need some topics. Drew, is anyone else seeing the market cooling? Okay. So market conditions, right? What is happening with that? Give Drew a hand. That was amazing. Okay. Who else? Good. Spitfire some of these. What else? Other topics? Keeping employees.
Yeah, like
so your transaction coordinator, a personal where's Barry? It's not here. Anyways, retention of staff. And in that, we're talking about TCs, assistants, Like, how did I keep James so long as my personal assistant? He hates that. Because he's not here, he may be watching online. I'm messing with you, okay? So he's my business partner. He does not like it when I call my assistant. I guarantee you, by the way, if you're watching James, I brought you more coffee than you brought me. He's like, I ain't never. We've been friends for 25 years. He goes, I will never get your coffee. I'm like, I am fine. What do you want? Cream, sugar? I'm good with it. Yes.
You said it, listing presentation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hey, some listing presentation ideas, and okay. And you mean like, you know, what do we say when we get there? We get over there, they want us to come. Is that what you mean? Kind of like, what do we do when we get there?
When they said, why should I pay you?
Why? Okay, so why should I pay you? And not only why should I pay you, but 6%, right? Okay. Yes. So then
Importance of communication.
Communication, how important that is, man. That is more important than you know. In fact, I'm going to underline that because that is life. How many think that's important in a marriage, relationship, your kids, your teenagers, listings, buyers? Tom, then Steve.
Creating urgency
Urgency. How to create urgency
in both buyers and sellers, especially when they sense the market is cool.
Urgency with clients.
Just kick him in the butt.
Okay. All right. Steve.
Best way to negotiate request repairs.
Best way to negotiate request repairs. So I'm just going to go RR, request repairs. How to negotiate. Okay. I got room for maybe one more. We're going to go real fast on these, but go ahead. Yes.
One more, buyer's presentation, just try and keep them motivated, man.
Oh my gosh.
Good. Yeah.
Buyer's presentation, which is kind of what I think Tom just said with urgency
Yeah,
and keeping them motivated when they sense the market might be cooling, which goes back to Drew at the top. I'm gonna give you a broker save.
Well,
I said one more. All right. Yes. What?
Setting seller expectations while our market is cooling.
Yeah. Seller expectations while the market is cooling. Nobody talked about loans, but fortunately, we're going to have a presentation today. So Rodney's going to cover there. So, okay, let's start with market conditions real quick. And this is a group thing. I have my opinion, but I want to hear from some of you. What is your opinion, real quick, to shoot it out on market conditions? Thoughts?
I'm going from 15 offers down to 5.
Okay, so 15 to 5 offers. Who else? Who else wants to chime in on that? What are you seeing?
Still seller market, definitely.
Seller market. You guys feel it's still seller market?
Yes.
Ronnie does.
Yeah.
Okay, so we still believe if we got 5 offers on every listing, then look, just 5, you loser. I'll smell like cats. What is
I'm only going
Okay.
25,000 over.
yeah, it's the, over is not as high.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear the market is at the absolute peak, because I signed loan docs this morning on my house at the absolute peak. And I said, why did we get this model home over everybody in Northern California, Bay Area buyers? They go, you were the only couple who didn't negotiate. I go, okay. Okay, I got that smart, but does that mean we're like, well, here, just take our money? Like everybody else negotiated. It was 300,000 higher than it should have been. You just paid it. I'm like, oh, great.
The guy that teaches negotiation.
I don't negotiate. You ever hear me teach negotiating? I really don't. I'm a buyer. You don't want to learn negotiating from me. What happened the other day? We were somewhere and we were buying jewelry in Mexico. And the guy does little jewelry things, and he's like, 160, you know? And I'm like, no. He's like, okay, how much? I go, 180. And he goes, okay. You don't want me to. Okay. Other market. So we see it's still everybody agrees it's still a seller's market.
Yeah.
Ronnie's saying this is a seasonal issue.
Yeah.
Where in July it's 190. So Ron, we got some seasonality go here coming into. Anybody agree with that? Thoughts? Seasonality?
Here from Cindy too.
Go Cindy, then Tom. Cindy.
So statistically, at this time of the year, as we go into the school season, our market tends to slow due to sports going back, school going back, families learning to go back to their routine. They need to take a moment, stop, get that routine, and then they get back out there. So this is the time of the year, and statistically, it always does slow down.
Well, I'm fighting statistics. I'm buying mine. I get the keys tomorrow.
But that also creates the urgency that you, literally the day school starts, things do change. And I have
Ooh, right there.
I have sellers right now, we have 5 days to put in new carpet, finish their kitchen remodel, get it painted, get it cleaned and put it on the market.
So
I get
there's
5
some
days.
urgency for your sellers to get, yeah, it's
And
good.
they
Tom,
agree.
yes.
I agree 100% with everything that Cindy just said.
You're like kissing up.
I-
She's
I-
amazing.
I have, yes.
I have nothing else to say.
I rest my case. I'm winning the game by kissing over Cindy, but she's right. I just relocated from LA, it's the same thing, but here's the key right now.
By the way, her husband's in the room. The bouncer in the back, that's her husband.
Allow me to say it again. Cindy, you are amazing.
There's nothing to gain. Say that part.
But it's, which he emphasized even more because the season is changing, kids are going back to school. It is still, as Rodney said, a seller's market. If it's the right location, condition, price, amenities, it happens. I'm still seeing multiple offers, and Drew just had one just 3 days ago. I mean, and I set the open house, and I got a crap load of people in here, and no one bought. So upset. But he got multiple offers. So if it's, which says even more, it's a price-driven market. So if you price it right, you will create urgency, and you will still get multiple offers. It may not be 200, but you'll still get multiple. So
Yeah.
pay attention.
Awesome.
I also think we're seeing a sifting in the market too, because I watch the weekly numbers, and what I'm noticing too is when you like start checking the numbers and percent of our list, the houses that are marketed correctly and listed correctly and marked and priced accurately, they're selling quickly. The ones that aren't, that think if I put my home on the market, it's gonna sell, they're starting to fall to the bottom. And now we're seeing that when they're over the market for 30 days, they're at maybe 102% of our list versus 106 that we're at right now in Rockland, or they're at 99% if they go over the 30 days. So we're starting to see that kind of a natural sifting going on in the
So
market.
pricing is important.
At least
By the
to
way,
me,
you
look.
have some listings coming on market, don't you? One or two?
Me, yeah, I have some that are coming. I have 2 more coming. I have a couple that's went into escrow, double-ended, and yeah.
Ooh, hot. Give Christy a hand.
Well, understanding the stats of closing today, and then it went into escrow maybe 30, 45 days or whatever time
Yeah, that's a
frame,
good point.
compared to where we are today. So if you're taking a listing today and their expectations back to, I think, where we setting the seller expectations, kind of understand how the stats work, right? They see the stat today, they think that's today's market, but really it might have been 2 months ago when the price went into contract.
If that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I bought my house a few months ago.
Right, right.
Good point. Drew, and then we gotta move off this topic. This was, how many of these was interesting
This
though?
was a
Pretty
great
good. You get
topic.
the thing, Drew.
I find myself having to reset my own expectations as a listing agent, because I'm getting pissed when I'm seeing 30-day offers instead of what I was getting used to at 15.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why are you coming at me with 30 days? Like, don't you want to get paid? Don't your clients want their house quickly? Like, let's go. And I have to kind of, when we only get 3 offers compared to 15, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my client $20,000 more, but we'll wait, I guess, an extra week and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. This was fabulous. I want to hear from my lenders. We have 2 lenders here. We have Alicia online and we have Rodney in the room. We'll start with Alicia online. Alicia, what are you, and let's make sure her mic's on, her volume's up. What are you seeing from a lender perspective in the market? What's your take on the market?
Number one, honestly, right now, guys, that I'm seeing is you have to 100% be willing to be creative. Me and Josephine had one we've been working on, and oh my gosh, blood, sweat, and tears. Every time we think we'd solve a problem, another issue comes up. I ended up truthfully giving up kind of a chunk of my commission because of an appraisal gap. I don't care. At the end of the day, what's most important to me is that this person gets into the house. Same thing, like I've been hitting, you've heard me talk about this, appraisal roadblocks. Well, all of a sudden they're quoting me 14 days and I'm like, the hell you are. I've had to pay $1,700 for an appraisal to get it back in 48 hours, but I'll do it, right? So we are getting these issues that are coming up that we were so spoiled that we weren't used to. Just don't give up and ask people like Brent and ask your mentors, ask me, ask around, ask Rodney. but there's typically a way to meet the minds and come up with a solution between everybody. There literally almost 100% of the time is. It's very rare that I haven't been able to overcome something. So just don't be shy. I did want to announce that what I'm seeing in addition to that is absolute more flexibility in lending. I've been hearing some of the broker friends of mine saying, oh God, they just came out with an 80-20 again. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? 80-20s again? That's a little crazy. I am getting more down payment assistance options that weren't available. We just got one that's offering, it sounds measly, but an extra $1,500 for clients that I can layer on top of other programs. So I'm layering. A lot of my first time home buyers are coming back where they were scared and they backed out of the market and they kind of took a step sideways. Now they're all reaching back out to me going, hey, I've been hearing the market shifting. So just adjust with it. I think just adjust with it. And when you see a roadblock in one spot,
That's good.
Find a way around it.
I would agree with Alicia. I've been, 25 years doing, hey, Sam, 25 years doing this. You paddle on the way up as the market's booming, and then it crests, you're paddling at the top, and then when it goes over down, you're paddling on the way down. And the agents who are successful paddle up here, here, and here. You just have to adjust, be flexible. And if it's too tough for you, it's just right for you to step up and be tenacious. She's talking about being tenacious when you have a problem, overcoming. Very good stuff. Rodney, real quick.
Yeah.
You did chime in, I forgot a little bit, but thoughts on the market right now?
I think the market is still a great time. Buyers are a little sensitive, thinking the market value is going to pop, but and to be quick about it, we're in the fourth phase of the greatest sale in the history of real estate right now. The prices are up, but the big sale still is on interest rates. It's a under market rate. And if they think the market's going to drop down a little bit, rates are definitely, if you talk to them, they think it's going up. So you do the numbers and show them the payments going up, and it's better to buy today.
Yeah. Yeah. We lock in this rate for 30 years. It's ridiculous. Okay, we're going to move on. Retention of staff. So what this is when you get a good transaction coordinator, love your transaction coordinator, treat them with respect. When you talk to employees at EXP or managing brokers, how do we like it when people treat us without respect, with disregard, obnoxious attitude? I signed this morning and she goes, I'm so relieved. Why? She goes, well, I got a call from Ivy, who is, Ivy in title, Pastor title. She says, make sure you personally do the signing, know them, the Goves are, she goes, I was all nervous. She goes, you guys were so sweet, nice. I go, of course. Anyway, what do you expect? Well, sometimes when people are really successful, you just never know. And I was like totally nervous. And so, but the point is this, make it, everybody's important. The people here at the front desk of Regis are important. They're not your slaves. They're not your people to boss around. They're not people to disregard. These are people to love, serve. Everybody's important. The waitress at Denny's, right? Never become that. And so I think when you start losing your TCs, when you start losing your assistants, not always, sometimes they leave for a better opportunity, a better thing, but it's because you're not treating people with respect. Give them a pay raise, $25 a file, $50 a file, do things, take them to lunch, dinner. Your personal assistants, treat them with respect. Come up. I remember when I hired Sandra 20 years ago, I'm like, oh no, I have an assistant. What will I do? I'm like, well, I'm paying her 4 hours a day. It doesn't have to be 3 days a week. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It wasn't 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. It was 4 hours a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I give her a big list of things to do. And then she'd check in with me in the day. Okay, I called the roofer. I called the loan officer. I called the termite inspection company. I called North America. I did this, I did that. And she reported back to me, and my income tripled in 3 months. But I think the big issue with retention is respect and kindness. How many would agree? Mm-hmm. And then creating opportunity for your staff. Like Drew, we're always trying to find ways to bonus Drew and pay Drew more. Do you feel that way?
100%.
Actually, what did you just buy for your kids with your latest bonus? Oh, is that me? I'm like, whose bonus? You guys, come on, get with the program.
I feel like the biggest play structure that I've ever seen.
Known to man.
It's literally like 20 feet tall and it's like 30 feet long kids.
Those things are expensive. Big redwood,
For your
fun
kids.
things.
Yeah.
It looks like Disney. And you're able.
Cool to get it big enough. I would love it.
Yeah. And well, it was really for tuna. But you pay cash for it. And so, but we're finding ways, paid off his car. Rob's not in here, he's doing something else, but we're always looking for ways to incentivize and bonus and help and create. Because if you don't create opportunity, you'll lose them. Same thing with your agents. You sponsor agents EXP. Meet with them. You worked hard to get them in, help them serve. It's the right thing to do, and help your friends at other companies. If they don't come to EXP, help them anyways, because in the end, we all have families and we all have children. And this is about groceries, gas, home, mortgages, life. And that's what life's about. If you're only helping people because they could do something for you, like Tom said, there's nothing in it for me. I agree with Cindy. But if you're only helping people because they can join you in EXP, I think I'd challenge your motives about that a little bit. Help them because you're a human being. Hello, human kindness, right? Is that UC Davis or Kaiser or whatever? It's a great commercial, right? And so we're gonna move on there.
Hey, Brent,
Yes.
not only that, you know what, how you treat people, you also carry not only your name, but a surname of part of Brent Gove team,
Oh, absolutely.
part of EXP, part of your church, or whatever.
Yeah. Your reflection.
Exactly.
The way you behave is this Remax agent, those Remax agents. No, it was an agent at Remax.
Yeah.
Are you with me? It's not Lions. It was an agent at Lions, but it unfortunately reflects on the entire company. It's a great time for you to chime in. Our managing broker, Angela Coffer. So she's like, oh. It was like Mr. Carter. Nobody knows Mr. Carter but me.
So one thing I was gonna say, retention of staff, and as you know, we in the broker room there, we're growing, we're changing, everything keeps changing. But the one thing that we are evolving in, and I think is important as just agents, as you're bringing in staff, they're part of your team. We're a team. We all work together. And I think the more that you can bring people into your team and they feel that, they're less likely to go.
Yeah, and also if I can say my part, because someone said it's not so much more retention, I guess is the wrong word, but also having ones that are skilled, because I unfortunately had to let one go, my TC, who really messed up the transaction in a big ugly way. So that was more where I was kind of going with it, not necessarily keeping them in, but having someone that is skilled that stays with the organization.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm running into right now is.
So there's a saying called slow to hire, quick to fire. If it's not a fit, just cut your losses, move on, do what you gotta do. But what you want to do is get other people's advice, right? What do you think? Introduce your potential new TC, your potential assistant to other people, get their read on it. And make sure, because once you because sometimes you're so invested, you're like, well, I'm just going to put up with okay, because I don't want to have to retrain anybody. Does that make sense? No, listen, we have some conviction. Exactly. And realize that I have certain weaknesses that Drew and Rob and James and Quinn and Sophia and Christina and a whole host of people feel for me. And so you got to realize, okay, if I tend to make bad hires, then you need to kind of get out of that process, have somebody who help you with that process and make good decisions. And so you don't want me bouncing your checkbook. Do you know why? I've never done it. If I owned an engineering firm, it'd be called Close Enough Engineering. And when you lay in the foundation of a building, right? Jared used to be the trades, it's close enough. No, it needs to be perfect because the foundation is everything. We all agree?
Yeah.
And so you find people. Okay, we're gonna move on. So I'm gonna come back to listening presentations. That's a big one. Communication. I underlined this one twice because I love it. It is absolutely, I've had buyers get frustrated with me in years, like, I just feel lost. What's going to happen next? So I would learn to sit down and do a buyer consultation. Okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to look for homes. We're going to find you the most amazing home. We're going to write an offer. Here's what the typical agents will do. They're going to do these 30, 45, 60 escrows. We're going to close it in 15 days. And they're going to ask for, we're going to go as is. And they're going to put up a 1% earnest money deposit on $500,000, maybe 10. We're going to put up 20 or 40. And here's why. And here's why your money's not going to be at risk. And here's why they're going to pick you over anyone else. This is why you want to use me. And I would go through and do a whole consultation with them. And then once we're in escrow, we're going to do a home inspection. You can write everything down on the list. You know, then there's the home inspection. Then you'll get the disclosures hopefully before the home inspection, so you can read them. And then some things that may be concerning in the home inspection, you can have your home inspector take a quicker look at that electrical or those windows that were replaced. And then once you complete the home inspection, everything looks good. Then we'll remove the inspection because you see if you even have one in this market, right? And then we have the loan has to get done. You need to work daily, every day with the lender. You don't want to get caught at the end because then you could have a financial penalties. And even though your lender did it, but your lender's going to go, well, Cindy wouldn't give me what I wanted. So it's just, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I go, if your lender says jump, your answer is how high? I need you to be ADD, sense of urgency, get them documents, get them documents, get them documents. It is so vital. Rodney, would you agree that, would you love it if the agents were really passionate with
That
their
would be
clients,
awesome.
getting what you want?
That would be awesome.
Okay, listen to me. I've always been that way. And I would close deals in 10, 12, 14 days all the time. I'm a freak. I get in their face in a nice way. I go, I cannot tell you how important it is to do this. I don't like, oh, you know, the lender's like, I can't get him to get me the bank statement. It's been a week. That is, whose fault is it? Is it the client's fault or the lender's fault? Real quick. It's yours. Thank you. It's not the client's fault. They're the client. It's not the lender's fault. That's called passing the buck. Oh, Cindy didn't get them. Rodney should have. No, it's your fault. Step up, take ownership, be intense. Life is about being passionate. The Italians had it right all along. So be passionate, be focused. If you're not on your A game in this market, you are broke, you're starving, you're hurting. Yes.
I also wanted to highlight on that, yes, communication with your clients is a must, but also communicating with the other agents that you're working with. And especially I find it too, it's crazy how many buyers agents won't reach out to the listing agent to like maybe say, hey, I've got an offer coming in. Hey, what is your seller looking for? Anything like that. Maybe you get 1 out of 10 who write an offer.
Yeah.
I feel like it's bizarre, but
Yeah.
I think
Well, she's hitting the grand slam home run. So there's communication with the buyers, what the process looks like. Then your loan's going to go through. Then you're going to sign loan docs. Then it's going to fund. Then it's going to be released to be recorded by the title company. Here's the process. And we'll do a final walkthrough just before we'll close. You literally communicate what that looks like. Then the sellers, you know what the seller's number one gripe is with our industry? Communication.
Yeah.
I never hear from my agent. The agent's like, I got nothing to tell them. Make something up. Okay, like just say, oh, I saw that we're now up to 497 views. You know, MLS does it still do it? It's been a while. Client and agent view. Well, we have 147 client views and we have 677 agent views. And like, well, why? What's wrong? Why aren't the clients seeing enough? What are you doing wrong? So if I was you, I would never ever separate those two things. I have them together. We have had 742 views. Our marketing is working so good. Right? They're like, wow, I feel good. What did I tell them? Nothing. Okay, listen to me. Oh my gosh, we've had 47 views. People have actually gone through, checked out 47 different people. It's going great. Same thing. It doesn't matter whether it's 747 or 47. It's how you say it to the client. They don't listen to the words. They listen to the music. Now I over exaggerated a few things for your benefit, but you better tell them, oh my gosh, I got online. 3 more homes came on the market. 2 went pending. Here's the 2 that went pending. They both had pulls. They both had views. Hang in there. We're going to get yours sold. Now, right now, sellers, you don't have to do a lot of that because they all sell, right? But you need to be talking to your seller. I'll share this. If your seller calls you and texts you and you talk every day, is that good or bad? It's horrific. It is. And listen, it was a setup. I set you guys up. If your seller is calling you and texting you, you are choking. Here's what they're thinking. If I don't call Cindy, I never hear from her. If I don't text Cindy, I never hear from her. If it wasn't for me texting her, Cindy's going, I talked to you twice today. We texted 3 times. Yeah, but they were initiating. Yeah. You must be the initiator. It's fine once in a while, but you need to overwhelm them with communication. Like, you're a badass. I love you. Anything. Hey, just letting you know, we're working on the roof. We're working on the loan. I talked to the lender. Things are going perfect. You know, I just slobbered on John. Anyway, so here's the deal. Find stuff to tell your seller. Find stuff to tell your buyer. And sit down with your files. Get up. Well, that seems really hard. Get up at 6:30 and do some instant messages or some emails. 5 a.m. What are you gonna do? Sleep? I mean, come on. Come on, go to bed. Well, it's so early at 5 a.m. What'd you do last night? We watched Amazon Prime till midnight. We watched Shakespeare in Love. I like the movie too. But if you are not, because there's people like me who are insane. And there's people like me in this room, and they will outwork you, and you'll lose again and again and again. They will take your clients from you. They will take, what do we want as clients? We want excellent service. That's someone who has our back, they're communicative, and they're just on it every time we turn around. You can either be that person, or you can have somebody come and take your client. They took my client. Nobody took anything from you. Your client found someone who gave them better service. Nobody stole your buyer. Nobody stole your listing. So your job is to go, Steve, why did you choose to list with Realty One? And because this is how I make my living. I'm thrilled that you did that. Okay, that might be a flat out lie, but be nice. Not like, I can't believe you list with them. I'm really happy you got your home. No hard feelings, but this is how I make a living for my family. I really want to learn and grow. And so if you don't mind telling me, what was it that made you choose? Be brutally honest, because if you're sweet and nice and just sugarcoat it, I'm going to suffer and my kids will suffer. I want to succeed at real estate. What made you choose Realty One or Alliance? Ask the hard questions. Do a forensic audit, and they will tell you. They will, and then don't go, nah, don't argue with them, you know? Like, well, 5 minutes is not that late. Okay, it was a big deal. You can't be late, okay? You can't be, they like, well, you didn't know anything about the school districts. And I gotta admit, I was horrible. I'm like, you should homeschool anyways. I was so bad. I'm like, stupid school districts. Turn your kid into a communist. Anyway, anyways, is it warm in here? So here's the deal. Learn. And I finally decided to learn about the school districts. I decided to learn about my community of Lincoln. I live in Roseville. You better learn about Lincoln. You better go to the Chamber of Commerce and what are the master plans for West Roseville and what's happening in Rockland and with the area where they've been fighting over development for 50 years, if you know up in there and what's going on. And there's different things. And so you need to learn your craft. And when they tell you, go okay and learn from it. And so does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, and you were dead on, Jenna, the communication. Talk to the listing agent, ask questions. What do you want? What does your seller want? A lot of you say, well, what does the seller want? And they tell you, but you never said, well, but Jenna, what do you want? Well, honestly, my seller wants a 60-day escrow. I want a 15-day escrow. So who's in control? Is the seller in control or the listing agent? Both. And I think the listing agent's in more control than the seller. I can guarantee you I'm in control of my sellers more than the seller. Sellers think they're in control. I go, you got this choice, this choice, and this choice. But the two choices I gave them, I made them look absolutely ludicrous. And I'm leading them here. So Gail, get up. She didn't know I was going to do this. Get over here. Gail is the #1 Remax Gold agent in El Dorado Hills. Is El Dorado Hills a good place to be the top dog? Yeah. She joined the EXP. Get over here. Give her a hand. I know I was going to do this. This is my little friend. And so she is badass. And so I'm going to ask her, Gail, who's in control, the sellers or you, if you've got that listing? Typically, who's really guiding the process to it?
Myself.
Like completely. Cindy, stand up. This is Cindy Silva, probably the most successful agent I've ever hired in 25 years in real estate. Give her a hand. She was my little baby. Come here, little baby. So side hugged her. But I raised her up, and then she passed me. I'm down on the ground. She's flying up there like a bald eagle. And but here's the deal. She's doing great. Who's in control? The sellers or you as a listing agent?
I mean, 100% of the time.
So don't kid yourself. Whoa, I'm selling my house. Not when you have Cindy, Gail, or Brent, or Kevin McDonald, or Friedman. Jay Friedman or Paul Boudier. This sounds cocky, but after so like, yes, it does sound very cocky. But after so many years, we make the seller feel like they're in control, but we're completely guiding them to the buyer we want, with the financing we want, the agent we want. We are completely in control. Make no mistake. Now, sometimes the seller can overpower us and say, this is what we want. And ultimately they are, but I mean, that is rare. The truth is, you just heard from 3, and there are others better than saying the people controlling the inventory, those listing agents, there. So that's why Jenna spoke up. She says, oh my God, it's shocking. 1 out of 10 actually communicate. 1 out of 10. Real quick, what are your thoughts on communication? We'll go here and here.
So on my way here, I had to have my first phone call of the season to say, hey, Mr. Seller, it's not just being in control when you're taking the listing, presenting the offers, but it's when you've got difficult news to deliver. You know, like he said, be that one to initiate. So this morning, I'm like, I gotta call Tim Chan. He's the next cop. He's a driver. He's a crazy.
Skeptical.
I mean, this is how he hired me. Hey, I just want to put it out there right now. If you're a crazy liberal, I'm not working with you. So are you a Democrat? I'm like, absolutely. Now, if he would have said, are you a liberal? I would have said, absolutely. So, but he is a driver, right? So
I don't know what you just said, but keep going.
but you know, he is like really in your face. And with those kind of people, I mean, I deal a lot with them, attorneys and doctors. So this morning, his house has been on the market 36 days. It's in El Dorado, $8,000 fire insurance quote. He wants it at $725, and I'm like, you gotta come to $650. So basically, I told him to take it off the market. There's smoke in the air. Let's refresh it. We're doing another price reduction. He goes, why am I hard set on that? I go, we all did. You know, you make more money, I make more money. And he said yes to everything. So it's like being in control from the day you walk in with the listing presentation to the day you present the offer, because we all know who the clowns are in real estate, right? Do we really want to work with an agent that is not going to take the football down the field and get a touchdown? Hell no. So, you know, they're depending, and I always believe whether it's a buyer or a seller, they want to be led. They want to know you have the confidence and they trust you because they have so much stuff, especially if you're dealing with high level people. They have so much stuff on their plate. They don't want to think about this. So
Good, very good. Keep going. Thank you. Yeah, let's just get for 1 second on the same topic of leading your clients in communication.
Yeah, you're the ones in control. I mean, that's why they're hiring you, is because they look up to you and they expect you to guide them. And you have to do the sense of urgency and let them know why everything has to have an explanation in this business. As simple things as if you're bringing in a stager. I just had one, she was a collector of too much stuff. But you know, everything meant something special to her. So I had to come in with the stager and say, look, you need to tell her why we have to remove each of these pieces so she doesn't cry and have her
You
feelings.
coached your stager.
You coached it. Was one of the best experiences. The house sold multiple offers off market before it even hit the market. Also, I have a client right now. They were very excited. I pull up to the house, beautiful house, just put in a brand new pool, kitchen being remodeled, and the rest of the house looks like teenagers had a frat party in it. And I was like, I can't sell this way. Like, I am so sorry. Like, yes, I know you think your kitchen and pool, but that's not going to be enough. They're like, but we're moving to Nebraska. What are we going to do? So like I said, this was the one at 5 days. I have new carpet being installed on Monday. I have a partial stager coming over on Monday. I have the painter is coming over tomorrow. I'm refinishing the cabinets tomorrow. I took the initiative to do that, to make the control, to take the ease off of them. But don't worry, you focus on moving to Nebraska. I'll take care of the listing here.
Nice.
So, you know, you have to guide them and kind of control them and put the urgency, like we were saying, because school is starting. This is 2 blocks from Del Campo. I do not want to go on the market when high school starts. It's going to be a, you know, disaster now that school's back full time. They don't know how it's going to be over there. So this is a sense of urgency. So when I said you got 5 days to get your house on the market, and they were thinking 3 weeks, no, it's literally 5 days. So guiding each client, but explaining why we need to do the things, putting that trust in them and communicating with them, you know, every single day. I do talk to my sellers and buyers every day. That was one of the reasons I actually got into real estate, is because every time Jared and I bought a house, we had terrible realtors who had zero communication, and I knew it wasn't supposed to be that way. So
Over communicate.
over communicate.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Give her a hand. One thing I want to say is, by the way, Jared, has it been life-changing for your family, her getting in and just kicking butt and taking names?
Absolutely.
You actually left your industry and now you're in real estate with Cindy as a team.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. I love Jared. Get him his big teddy bear. He looks like a scary bouncer, but he's a sweet guy. We've had a few pina coladas in Maui together. It's fun. I want to say this though, ask your client how they like to be communicated with, not just email or phone calls. Like, I don't read email. I literally don't listen to voicemails. I delete them. If you leave me a message, I won't even listen to it from anyone. I'm like become Howard Hughes, weird, delete. My voicemail says, do not leave a message. I will not hear it. Even my mom, I'm 15 of them, delete. I don't even listen to my mom's voicemail. So just call me mom. So text, that's the only way I communicate. So if you're instant messaging people or Facebook messaging them, like, you didn't get my message. I'm like, I text. So you better ask people how they like to be communicated to. I'm gonna switch gears here real quick. I've asked Rodney, he's very excited about some loan programs and some lending information. I want him to share with you a presentation today. Alicia did a fantastic one a while back. And so Rodney goes, I got some really cool stuff I could educate the team on. And so we love Alicia, we love Rodney. And so Rodney's going to share some cool stuff on lending. And then, but before we do that, I forgot, Angela, share that one tip that you've seen that agent step in as a managing broker for the state of California, EXP, 3 years. What's the one bit of advice you have that you just jumped right out of you when I said that?
So appraisals,
Okay.
right? A huge issue, appraisals. There's a discrepancy in price. I mean, one of them more recently, it was a $699 list. Agent came in with, or the offer came in at $760 and the appraisal came in at $650. $110,000 gap, right? In the offer, they wrote buyer will pay $720. Okay, buyer will pay $720 if it's short, right? And so in that, the agent thought, well, gosh, the seller signed. That means they've obligated themselves to accept a $720 offer. And the seller was irritated because, hey, I don't want to accept $720. I want my $760, right? And so the thing is with appraisals, and I know it's a little bit different if you remove the contingencies, it's still a very gray area, but let's just focus on the appraisal contingency is in effect. The buyer will pay $720. Seller does not have to agree. Okay, so know that if it's less than what the sales price is, they're renegotiating that price. And so in this, the agent, one of the agents came in because we are getting these questions left and right. Here's what Carr wants you to put because there's such a discrepancy. And so if anybody, if I go too fast, or just email me and say, hey, what's that clause? But the bottom line is, so appraisals. Buyer and seller agree. It's the mutual agreement between the buyer and seller. Buyer shall not exercise appraisal contingency unless the appraised value, and this is another number, 585 or less, if the appraised value comes in between 585,001, so you have to go like $1 over that number. So in my case, the value was 670. So this would, well, let's see how, I have to think about how the numbers, but just to hear this out. And 600. So there was a bracket. Buyer shall bring in the difference between the appraised value and the purchase price.
There you go. Which
So
is normal.
it's right. So you have this number that they're willing to pay, but you have a mutual agreement up front. If this were to have said buyer shall it's not. It doesn't lock in the seller to accept it. Just because they signed the addendum doesn't obligate them to accept.
Yeah.
So remember, it's a mutual agreement between parties. So make sure your verbiage is both buyer and seller agree, and then stipulate the
And we
term.
will put this on the team page for all of you.
Thank
And you
you.
can also workplace chat,
Yes.
Angela Coffer, last name spelled Coffer.
You got it.
Just like phonetically how it sounds.
Just
And,
say coffee, but take off an E and add an R.
yeah. Or radical.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but Angela can help you, but this stuff, but here's the main thing, again, back to communication, kill it with clarity.
Yes.
Kill it with clarity. Because
Exactly.
you end up in a lawsuit when things are vague, right?
Right.
Buyer feels the seller accepted, seller's like, heck no, I didn't, I agree with the seller, they didn't accept it.
This is the interpretation. So this is clear in the communication as to what you're supposed to say. The other way is left to interpretation. Oh, but the seller signed it, so therefore they agreed to it, right?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah. Real quick.
And this is when, in a scenario when the appraisal value came in way less than what I would pay for,
Yes.
right? But over the asking price still.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then, yeah.
My home that we signed today appraised 100,000 under what I paid for it. And I brought in an extra 100 grand. That's how we solved that problem. I had no problem doing it. I want the home price. And you assume your clients aren't willing to do it. The one in Puerto Rico, I told them 300,000 over the appraised value. The way to appraise value, you get 300,000 more. Some people want what they want. So don't assume they're like, oh my God, it's gonna be a big problem. They have the money. Sometimes they don't. but you gotta do it right, Cindy.
But that's communication, right?
Yes, yes.
And even if you do remove your appraisal contingency, I don't represent too many buyers anymore, but my last 2 buyers, we removed our appraisal contingency and it came in way less. I still went back and negotiated the price down. The agent did it for me. So don't think just because you removed it, you can't negotiate that price back down.
Everything
I
is
just have
negotiable.
mutual agreement at that
How,
point.
how do you think I got married? Every-
So the key there in that is that buyer and seller both agree.
Exactly.
So if you just say buyer shall,
Right.
that's obligating the buyer, not the
Right.
seller.
Right.
So the key is buyer and seller both agree, blah, 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 they
Exactly.
agree.
That's
And if the
awesome.
seller signs it, then the seller's obligating themselves.
Only if it said both buyer and seller.
Right, so if the seller doesn't agree, then they can counter.
They could, depending on what you have. I mean, if you do an AEA, the seller may not sign that. They would rewrite it on, you know what I mean? So they don't have to agree if it's on an AEA. You're, I'm speaking acronym, it's the additional, it's, oh gosh.
We all
Come
know.
back to me, AEL.
We all know what the AEA is. All right, now, we're gonna move on. Okay, we're gonna move on. I signed docs this morning. You know what that is, right? Oh, yeah. She was FERC. I go, yeah, it's the right to farm, right? It's not. They're like 25 years in. Who the hell knows what FERC? Excuse me, I FERC that. All right, now. So we have Rodney Rose, branch manager, loan officer for AmeriFirst Financial. He's in the building. His office is a few doors that way. Take it away because
Yeah. I'll be real quick here. So what is an LE? It's the loan explanation. It's one of the first things in, and it's really, I think this really ties in importantly with the communication portion, because this is one of the first documents that your seller or your buyer is going to get when you're in a transaction, and they don't understand it. And I feel like it's important for you guys to understand it because they often won't reach out to me, or they don't believe me because I don't have the relationship that you have because you've been out.
By the way, how many years have you been in real estate loan?
I gotta say that. I've been licensed since 1983. I have multiple licenses. I have my broker's license. I have my general certified appraiser certificate, which comes into play with a lot of things. I use that a lot, those skill sets. I worked at title and escrow when I was going through college, getting my degree in real estate. And I, of course, have my mortgage license. So I'm well versed in speaking all those
They
different
had
languages.
those things back in 48.
I invented it. Yeah, but anyway, I think the communication part is really important. So my goal is for you guys to understand this a little bit, not to become an expert, to just understand it. So I'm going to go through it real quickly. And what the loan explanation is, it's the new, and this is a government required form, and it's to let the borrower compare other lenders to each other for the same loan product to see where the costs are, because there are variances out there. So that's what the LE is. It has to come out within 3 days of them submitting 6 items. They have to submit 6 items of information, which just was on the other screen real quickly, but yeah, which is basic stuff: their name, their income, their social security, the address of the property, the value of that property, and the loan that they're looking for. And then it's going to provide them the information so they can compare it. So now you can switch over. Yeah. So common questions about this, and these are very legit questions. They're going to say, is my loan approved? Because they have this new formal looking page. No, they're not. Is my rate locked? Typically not. And these are just kind of questions I'm going to fly through. And then I'll show you where it is on the form so you can see it. Typically, the rate is not locked. How come my information is wrong? That's one of the intents of this form, is to get everything correct. So when you're at closing and all the loan docs are drawn and the grant deed's done and everything, and we find out there's a misspelled middle name or the social security is wrong or something, this is going to help catch that so we don't have those fiascos, fire drills at the end. Why are the loan costs so high? Well, they think that that's the loan cost, but this is a totality of all the closing costs. That's why this is the main part I want to get across to everybody, because they think it came from the lender, therefore this must just be the lender's cost. And my friend just got a loan for nothing, or I heard the radio ad on TV or radio, whatever, that the costs are 0. And this is not the loan cost. It's part of the cost, but it's title, it's escrow, it's county recording fees, it's every little detail, inspections. Am I committed if I sign it? No, they're not committed, but they need to sign it if they intend to move forward. Why is the EMD not showing? Going back to the communications, I get contracts all the time 3 days later after, because it goes to a TC, it goes, it just delays. This has to get out quickly. And is the interest rate the same as the discount point, or the interest rate discount points and origination points, right? Because there's varying things on there and they're really confusing. So go ahead and we're going to fly through some of this. If you have questions, we'll answer them at the end of time. This is the form right here. It's 3 pages. It's a government form. Could have been done in 1, right? But it's the government form. It's 3 pages, and we're going to go through it each section real quickly. The loan estimate. The main thing that I want you to see right here is going to have their information, the purchase price, but back to their question they asked, is it locked and what type of loan it is? I've seen this and gotten loans from other people and they're approved for a VA and they've never been in the veteran, never been in the military or anything, right? So you want to make sure you can check those just obvious errors because your clients are going to ask you because they're looking to you. They assume you know what this form's about. So go ahead.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag. There you go.
This page right here is going to just show you, and they got the black headings on each section as you go through, but it was so small, I just separated them a little bit. It's going to show the loan amount, the interest rate, the monthly principal and interest payment, just right there. That's all it is. Super simple, nothing to worry about. It does show whether there's a prepayment penalty or a balloon on the loan, and typically any government finance or conventional does not have that, but just to make sure. Mortgage insurance, in this particular case, I just happened to pull one randomly. They put down more than 20%. There's not mortgage insurance. We talked about PITI, right? Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, but MI is included in that final payment, but it would be there if it does. Homeowner insurance, and again, it says estimated and estimated because these are all estimates right from the beginning. This preclude, or it comes in advance of the closing disclosure, the CD towards the end. We're just trying to get everything on page there. Go ahead. The estimated closing costs, right? And that's the main thing that I want to make sure you hit, and then the cash to close. So in this form, you're going to see is that, I wish I had a little laser pointer here, but the estimated closing costs is inclusive of the loan costs and the other costs, right? And including in the loan costs are the impound account setup, which is a big chunk of change that they have to come in with, but it's not a charge to us. It's basically like a savings account that they're going to have, but they don't have control over. But there's money they have to come in with. And then the estimated cash to close is a total of the closing costs and their down payment. So in this portion, it starts and it breaks out this form into A, B, and C, and then D gives a total of A, B, and C, because I just want to make it super confusing on something that could be super simple. But the loan amount or percentage of loan points, there's nothing there. And this is not a standard form. It is a standard form, but it's not conclusive. Like lenders can add things in there that's custom to that particular loan scenario. So in this case, there's no loan fees. There's a processing fee and an underwriting fee, and that's where lenders can put in all kinds of fees that they do. I consider them all garbage fees, right? But it's just how they pay the lights and keep the office running. And then appraisal fee. That's a service. They break it down to things they can't shop for. They can't go and pick out their own appraiser to make sure they get the value that they want, right? So that's one. The other services, which are all pretty much title and escrow, they can shop for that. So you could direct them to that, then they could say, no, they have the right to go and choose something else. But those are all lender fees or title and escrow fees. And then terms change a little bit where we have escrow fees. Sometimes you might see settlement fee. It's the same thing. There's endorsements. The lenders want to make sure that they get the address is actually the actual address for the property. As silly as that sounds. And in today's market, we have mobile notary that might go away, obviously, right? And so those things change, but that's just what it is. And you're familiar with all the terms. And then you go to D, and that's a total of all of those right there. Then these are the other costs. This is what I was talking about, the other fees for the government fees, setting up the impound account. So E is the taxes and government fees for that transaction. For the prepaids, and this is what people get most worked up about and don't understand, and again, think it's my fee as a lender, and it's not. So you got the homeowner insurance policies, you have the prepaids, which are like prorating, right? So, if you're closing in the middle of the month, no lender wants to collect a monthly payment 30 days every single month of the day of the month. So it's all geared towards the first of the next month. So that's what that section is about, prepaid interest, getting it to that time frame. It didn't have mortgage insurance. If it was on there, the homeowner insurance is $1,800. I'm paying 12 months in advance, right? Because it's the beginning of, and that's what they do in California. In other states, they do a little different. Property taxes, there wasn't anything that needed to be set up. It's in the initial, what they call escrow, right? Which is the impound account. Escrow and impound account, they get confused because escrow, I'm in escrow right now. Why do I got to pay another escrow? It's setting up the impounding escrow account that the lender manages, and they do it per month. which I'll show a quick form here coming up to show how to kind of calculate that. So if you want to be on top of that a little bit up front, it's a good, good way to.
By the way, don't zone out on this. It's really important to understand what he's saying. You can sit here and go, just you'll understand it as the years go by. It's good. Keep going.
Yeah. Thank you. I know what Brent was talking about was more exciting than what I am. I was like, oh, great. I got to come up with stuff that puts you to sleep. But this is all the closing costs, and it is important that you understand it because they'll get shocked at the end. They're like, I thought I only had to come with the down payment. I thought closing cost was, $1,500 or and they're shocked when it comes into a lot more. And I'm going to give you a quick tip at the end here that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. But I just wanted you to understand this right here to be able to estimate just as a thumbnail right from the beginning and be pretty accurate. So again, the government does E, F, and G, and then they give you a total over on I. If there was other costs related because maybe that's a Mello-Roos or it's something strange, it would be over there in the other. And so now you have A, B, and C added up with E, F, G, and H, and they give you J as the total. That's just a closing cost portion. Now we're getting to the cash to close, right? Which is pretty simple. It's that what we just went over and whatever down payment they're coming in. In this scenario, they're bringing in way more money than they needed to. With financing today, you can get in with a conventional loan at, who knows, the lowest conventional loan down payment? 3%. Yeah, a lot of people think it's 5%. So 3% for Drew, he wins. And FHA is 3.5%, right? VA 0. All the down payment would be added to whatever these costs are right there. And that's the cash to close. One important thing, well, I'll save that towards the end because I brought that later. Go ahead. And then this just kind of shows who's doing the loan, right? So no big deal there. APR, that is not your interest rate, right? And unfortunately, it's intended to be able to also balance out and compare lender to lender on their programs. But there's certain items that are added to the true definition of the APR and other expenses are not. And these items are what we just went over, some of those expenses in the cash to close scenario. And you can literally, one quick test, right, is the same property and you have the same down payment, same borrower, and they're bringing in the same amount of money. How can the APR be off? It shouldn't be. It should be exactly the same, but I've seen APRs be widely different. So you just want to look at that cash to close. And if you have questions, then go ahead. Yes.
So on this, at least it goes out at the very beginning, are the rest of the laws still in effect that it can't go 10% over for the cost during the life of the loan?
Well, it's not the life of the loan, and I'll address that.
Yeah, so you're sending it, so I know that RESPA has like, you can't, if you give, disclose certain fees and you can't go over 10%.
Right.
That fall under that as well for the
Well,
initial?
not for the initial one. That's the intent to get them right. But what she's talking about is there are certain fees in there and it's a tolerance level. Certain charges, you cannot be 1 penny off as a lender when, even though they're not even our charges, right? They cannot be 1 penny off or you have to pay it. The lender has to pay it. Then there's up to 10% overall and 10% on some. Any amount over that variance, the lender has to pay it. So obviously we're trying to get it accurate as we can. But anyway, I just wanted to point out some of these numbers on here, people freak out over because they look how big they are. The total interest paid, 79%. And of course, what are they thinking? That's my interest rate, right? No, but all that simply is if you total out the payments that they made over 30 years, if they had the loan for 30 years, how much payments did they make to the original loan amount? So actually they made 79%. They paid back 100% plus 79% more. That's just the way the business goes,
So
right?
$1 million property, that's $790,000.
Exactly. Yeah. Over 30 years, right? And then in 5 years, they do that too. But people, they just freak out. They're already stressed out, as you know, right? Buying a house is a big deal. And then they get this paperwork and they think, who's this person you sent me to? They're charging me all this money. Go ahead. The other quick thing is most loans are not assumable today. It tells you if it is. That's a question they ask. Can that, is this assumable or not? And will this loan be transferred? Meaning like, will I make my payment to you? Right? Those are both common questions. Most loans are not assumable today. Some are, and most loans are sold in the market today, as you know as well. And we're required to disclose that. Then they sign it. This is where they have to sign, right? But my name's wrong. This was wrong. They still have to sign it. It's a government form. We can't get it back until they sign it, and then we'll correct it and send it back. So they must do that if they intend to continue. This form right here, so the LE, right, is the actual government form. It's the only one that they're supposed to be using, you can use some other ones. And this is an example of it. And sometimes there's a lot of mistakes. You're trying to compare apples to oranges, and this one's not monitored by the government like the LE is. And so there's a lot of room to sort of mislead somebody. This one is called a pre-app worksheet, and I know it's small, but in that black box, I highlighted it, and it actually says, don't use this form, get an actual LE, right? But it says LE in it, right? Another one's a GFE, good faith estimate. That's an older version. People still use that, but no, you should be using the loan explanation, which we call the LE. So here's what I was talking about. This is the big takeaway for the day, right? So some good quick numbers. You want to know if your client is going to be able to pull the deal off, right? Up front, they want to know if they can pull the deal off as well. So you want to know what loan type they're going to be going with, right? And just use the minimums. Obviously, if they're putting more money down than they have to, then that's bonus. But you take the minimum down payment of any loan amount or any loan type that you're going to use, and then use the number 2 1/4.
Yep.
2.25%.
This is great.
Yeah, 2.25%. You add those together, and that's the total cash to close. The 2.25% of the purchase price is a really close ballpark estimate of how much the closing costs for everybody in the transaction, including setting up the impound account, is going to cost. Now, that does not include anything that's unusual, such as mellow roofs or, super high fire district or flood insurance. You're going to be off a little bit on those numbers, but this is really good number to add it up. So I gave a quick example of it, of what the minimums are there. And, example of you're doing the conventional 3% down plus 2 1/4% is 5 1/4% on the purchase price. That's how much money that you're going to likely see on the dotted line closing when you're signing that the buyer needs to bring in. Now, one important thing that I want to say, and this is how I actually describe it, I don't ever deviate from this. And I know, and the buyers will say, you never told me that. But I say, when you're coming to the closing table, you're bringing 2 buckets of money to close, right?
That's good.
It's good.
and I think it's illustrative, and I can picture, right? And I do it on purpose. And the reason why is because they each have a difference. Even though you're bringing in $30,000 and 187 and 50 pennies, you got to have them separate buckets, because this does happen. Not so much in today's market, but I guarantee if you've been in the business a while, it will happen to you at some point. And it's a fire drill at the end because it slipped through, because the numbers all matched up, right? They're bringing in 30,000. They got 30,000 through the escrows bound. And then what happened is they're bringing in minimums. Let's say this is all minimums, right? 2 1/4% was the actual number, worked out to be perfect, right? And they got a 3% credit from the seller. Guess what? That 3%, the extra 75 points, 0.75% went over to discount down the minimum down payment. No one caught it till the end. So what happens? The underwriter, the last thing goes, wait a minute, they're only bringing in, I don't know what they're supposed to bring in, 400,000, 500,000. What's the purchase? 575 with 16,500 or something like that. And they're only bringing in $15,000. That doesn't fly. There's a minimum required investment on the loan type, and they had too much money. They still had 30,000 at the table, but it came from the seller, right? You can't do that. Yeah, the light clicked on. So that's why I say bring it in 2 buckets. You have to bring in that 3% or 3.5 in one, and then the other one can come in, for the closing costs. Now, if they had the credit and if someone's on top of it, what happened? I will never, as a lender, if my client got the money, I will not let it go back to the seller if I can do anything about it. So there's a million ways you can, well, not a million, but there's a lot of ways that you can spend that money buying down the interest rate, prepaying expenses or something like that. So you don't have to give it back. You don't have to lose the money if it happens to be that way. But the buyer does have to come in with that money. And you communicate with everybody.
We got to wrap this up.
Yeah, this is I think the last one. So this one right here is every month, as I mentioned, the closing cost amounts will change slightly. And it's based off of primarily that impound account setup. And it's hard to read on here, but if you're funding it in January, your first payment isn't going to be until March, right? Because you don't pay until, you got it prorated in another 30 days. So you got a lag time and people get confused. So the best time to close, the lowest time is probably February. And then, towards the end of the year, you're bringing in a lot of extra months worth. I think that was it. Awesome. Yep. So if you got questions, you can reach
take a
me.
picture.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job. So your clients will ask you, what do I need to buy a house? And so if they're using 3% down conventional, 3% of 400,000 is what? 12 grand. 3% of 600,000 is what? 18 grand. 3% of 300,000 is what? Little condo, what? 9 grand. So that's your down payment. You guys got how easy it is? If it's FHA, it's just 3.5. Take your calculator. So now, you know, let's work with the $400,000 home. 3% if they're using conventional is 12 grand, right? He said to figure out the closing cost, take the 400, you multiply it by 2.25% equals 9 grand. So 12,000, right? Plus 9 grand closing costs is how much? 21,000. So what do they need for down payment and closing costs? The two buckets to close? 21. Now you always want to be high when you estimate the closing costs and say you need to talk to your lender and give it to them. But 2.25 is typically a little bit more than they're going to need. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, it's just by that month of the closing.
Right. So you could take these numbers and take 300,000 and do 2.25. You can do 500,000, 2.25, 60. You guys how quick and easy it is. 2.25 is a safe number. You want to tell them more and say it's probably going to be less. But if you tell them a number of X and it's more by $500 or $1,000, they're mad. Does that make sense? So give them more than they think it'll be. So now this 2.25 works up until you get to around $1 million. Then you don't need it. Really becomes a lot extra.
Yeah.
So when you hit over $1 million, you could actually shave it down to 2%. For example, I bought my home. We close tomorrow. It's $1.5 million up by Colorado times 2.25% equals. It says that my closing costs. I think I just did something weird. I did $1.5 million times 2.25% equals $33,750 is my closing costs, right? Well, it's 21,000. So as a buyer, I'm expecting to pay 33,000. Again, I find out it's only 21,000. Am I upset or happy?
Happy.
I'm happy. Now, if you tell me you're my agent, so the closing cost should run about $19,000. I get in there and it's 21. Am I upset or happy? Upset. And so most people, they don't just roll with it. You said 19 and some people cut it really tight, right? And so always go a little bit over if that makes sense.
Do you have an income account?
Yes. Yep, I got it all. So good day today?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, the afternoon, 2 to 4. I don't know what you got going, rearrange your schedule. You're hearing from the number one agent in San Diego this afternoon. He flew up here, he just landed, and he's, you know, it's gonna cost you nothing. It's cost me $8,000 to $10,000 to get him here. I'm making that investment for you guys. I need you guys there taking notes, recording, videotaping, you know, get something for you. You can show up and go, yeah, it was okay. Or you can show up and go, man, that changed my life. This afternoon could change your life. That's what I'm saying. But if you just show up and motivate me, arms crossed, eyes crossed, legs crossed, brain crossed, stay home. You will get out of these team meetings what you want to get out of them. You'll get out. Was this good today? Very good. You will, and I know we didn't get to everything, so we'll save some and go over them next Thursday, same time, same place, same back channel for you old people. Batman and Robin. But so here's the deal. 10 a.m. Come. This is great. We need each other. The community, the energy, all that here. Come and bring what you have. Ask questions. Don't be shy. And then that's today. On Tuesday, I will be in South San Francisco. If you have any agents or friends there, I'm at the Devil's Canyon Brewery. It's a drop dead gorgeous venue. So if you know anyone in San Francisco, San Jose, Cupertino, anywhere there, just let you know. It's this Tuesday. See me. I believe we have that up on the Brent Gove website. Sean Work's going to be there, myself, and 2 of those speakers. Should have about 100 people there. It's going to be really good. That's this Tuesday. If you know anyone in the Bay Area, I want to mention that. On the 11th, we are doing a video boot camp. Bill Kerbach, he's got great stuff. It is happening August the 11th. It's a one-day event. Bill's flying up here. Probably #1 guy for video in all the entire company. It's going to teach you how to make short 30-second, 1-minute videos, how to market them, how to get people looking at you as the pro for Whitney Oaks, the pro for the Promontory, the pro for West Roseville, to where everyone, and how to do it quickly, not 5-minute videos, 30 seconds to a minute, super classy, super professional, right from your iPhone. So it's a video boot camp. What day? August 11th. And so here in Roseville, I got him to fly in to this for you and said, you guys flying to Southern California? He does, Pete knows real estate in La Jolla. Pete's gonna do $500 million this year in La Jolla, sells the $30 million homes. His videos are so sweet. I'm actually gonna play a little bit of an example this afternoon at Kyle Whistle. And that's it. Have a great day. We'll see you next week. Sorry. I know we went over today. Sorry, you guys. That was my bad. I didn't watch the clock. Bye, everyone online. See you guys.
What time was that video?